Welcome back to part 2 of the weight reduction program for the overweight. If you've seen the first one, you know this is for people who fall into one of the two categories that I'm going to describe, or if you know someone or if you have friends and family who fall into that category. Significantly overweight with a high body fat percentage, or you're recovering from surgery or starting a program in mature ages or mature stage in your life, and you haven't done too much of strength training and you really don't enjoy exercising. This program is for you. Start from part 1. If that's too easy, part 2 is where you start. In part 1 of the program, I divided the video into 3 sections: tools, nutrition, exercise. Tools and nutrition remain exactly the same. The only thing I'll add about nutrition would probably be considering intermittent fasting, a 12-hour window of eating and a 12-hour window of fasting. You can push the limits to an 8-hour window of eating if you'd like, but before you do that, do check with your doctor if you are susceptible to ulcers or if you're on some kind of medication. You don't want to be doing any of that till your doctor gives you an okay on changing your eating pattern. In this video, it's really going to be a change in the exercise that you've been following. We'll change the protocol, we'll change the exercises, take it a notch above what you were used to in the first 12 weeks in part 1. So it's a slow progress that you've been making, but most definitely by now, if you have come out of program 1 from a significantly overweight kind of position, I am guessing that you have reduced a lot of weight, somewhere in the 20-pound range or north of 20-pound range. So in this part, we're going to do 10 exercises. The protocol is going to be different. The protocol is going to be, instead of doing 10 or 12 reps that I suggested in the first program, we'll be doing 30 seconds of work, as many reps as possible, 30 seconds of rest, and before you go on to the next exercise. The first 2 weeks, we'll start with 1 round of this, and in the following 2 to 3 weeks, you'll do 2 rounds of this with a 1-minute break in between each round. Now, one other thing that we were doing was walking. You started with a 30-minute walk. You shaved off 1 minute every 2 weeks in the first program or in the first part. And you probably started walking 40 minutes when you came to the second 6 weeks. And that would have got you walking fairly fast by now. Probably one of your fastest speed in the fat burning zone. So now I'd like you to walk that same speed. Walk for 30 minutes, but you'll walk 9 minutes and jog or run for 30 seconds. Between week 1 and week 2, you walk 9 minutes, run 30 seconds. In week 3, 4 or 3, 4, 5, you walk 8 minutes and you run for 1 minute. That way you're building up your cardio capacity, you're shocking the body in terms of utilization of energy, therefore your fat will be metabolized much faster. Okay, so that's the walking portion. I hope that's clear. Everything will be in the description below. With that, we'll move on to the exercises. 10 exercises, follow along routine. When you start off the first 2 weeks, do the first round, speed up as you're doing it every day. And as you go into the 3rd, 4th and 5th week, get to the 2-round routine with a 1-minute gap in between. I'm going to introduce one exercise with resistance band, especially for the shoulders. I think that's important for you to get some shoulder mobility and shoulder strength. So get a light band. This is from Decathlon and here in Singapore. It's rated at 15 kilos or 33 pounds. I think this should be sufficient as you're starting out. Now here's a list of exercises to be done back to back with a 30-second rest in between for 1 round in the first 2 weeks and then 2 rounds with a 1-minute rest. So get your towel, get a bottle of water, your resistance band, your yoga mat, and let's go do it. We'll start out fairly easy with walking on the spot, more like a warm-up to make sure that you have blood flowing through your entire body. Make sure you pump your arms so your shoulders get warmed up. Keep your core braced and tight so you're engaging your entire body as you walk. That helps a lot in warming up much faster. 4, 3, 2, 1, and you've got a 30-second break now. If you're doing a follow along, The timer is pretty much set. You can just follow along with the timer that you see on screen. But if you're not doing a follow along, then you just need a timer where you set it for 30 seconds of work and 30 seconds of rest, and just follow the exercises along as you memorize them. So 1 round for the first 2 weeks, and then we'd be doing 2 rounds later on. The next exercise is jumping jacks or step jacks. Start at the pace that I'm demonstrating, but if you find this a little too strenuous, a little too hard, you can slow this down as well and just do steps as you would see here now. Just take side steps and do the jacks, and over time you can speed it up to the pace that you see. And if you're able to go faster than this, by all means do that. It just helps a lot in burning more calories as you increase the intensity or the speed of how you execute these exercises. The first few rounds of rest, you really don't need much to catch your breath on or drink water, but if you do, just grab a sip of water if you need to. Ready? 4, 3, 2, 1. The next one is squats. You can do squats as I'm demonstrating with no chair or support at the back, but to start with, if you find it convenient to have a chair, just get a sturdy chair or a bench and perform squats as you can see on the screen. Just touch as you go down, do not sit, just touch and come back up. Do as many reps as possible, do them fairly strict. And that's a break, a 30-second rest. Just make sure that when you're doing the squat, you're engaging your quads and you're going down to 90 degrees is where your knee angle should look like. And getting ready for the next exercise. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The next one is toe taps. You can do it on a low platform, a step if you have it at home, or a railing if you find one similar to what I'm using. Just tap, toes alternate, and you can do this faster if you can. The aim should be to go as fast as you can over time, but if you need to start slow and slower than what you're looking at, by all means do that. 4, 3, 2, 1. A 30-second rest. Catch your breath. Get a sip of water. Don't check that message. You don't need to check your message. That can wait till after your exercise is done. Just focus on what you need to do. All through every exercise, make sure you keep your core braced or core tight and contracted, but breathe normally. 4, 3, 2, 1. The next one is butt kicks. We've done this in part 1, so you should be familiar with this. If you need to hold on to something, find something firm, a wall, a railing as I used here, and do the butt kicks. Keep your knee behind as the leg that is, the knee that is bending. Make sure the knee is kept straight and behind, pointing downwards. That way the emphasis is on the hamstrings and the quads, on the glutes. 30-second rest. You probably need a bit of a breather now. Just deep breathe if you need to do that, and grab a sip of water. Do monitor your heart rate. If you're wearing your chest strap heart rate monitor, just make sure you're in the fat burning zone. If you're not, you need to pick up the pace of the exercises. Anything below the fat burning zone is not going to be beneficial. Next one is high knees. Keep your palm at waist level or slightly higher, and keep it fixed there or as stable as possible, and pick your knee up as high as you can. The whole idea is the knee should go as high as possible. And during this process, keep your core tight. Every time keep your core tight. That's going to help in flattening your stomach over time. 4, 3, 2, 1. 30-second rest.
Breathe in, breathe out. Like I said, monitor your heart rate. Wear that heart rate monitor and keep checking it. Do not let your performance go below the fat burning heart rate zone. You want to get the best out of every minute you're spending working out. Get ready for the next one. The next one is like the wall push-up, but this is an inclined push-up where you can either do it on the railing as I'm doing it, or you can do it on the bench on the bench behind me, but that makes it a little bit more difficult. Make sure that you have your elbows at 45-degree angle and you're coming down and touching your chest and going back. You may have to start slow before you get a hang of this. Make sure you start slow and increase the intensity as you go along, and you feel the weight of your body on your shoulder and your hands and your chest as you're pushing yourself back up. This is going to give you strength on your shoulders, triceps, chest. It's an all-round developer. Get your band ready. The next one is a band exercise for your shoulder. Step over the band as you can see on screen. Holding the bands with your palm facing down, you pick it up like a reverse curl. It's a clean, take it up to your shoulder and do a shoulder press and back down, all the way down, before you do another clean and push it back up. Given that these are bands, these are a lot safer than free weights and barbells. The pressure on your ligaments and joints are extremely minimal, and the benefits far outweigh any risk at all using these bands. And over time you will see the benefit of using these bands in terms of the strength that you will develop on your shoulders. Enjoy the well-earned rest and get ready. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Next up is hip bridge. Lie on the ground the way I'm lying, and from that position lift your hip up, holding it flat. Your shoulder, hip and knee should end up in a straight line when your hip is up. In that position you need to squeeze your glutes for a second before you lower your hip back down. Do as many reps as possible in the 30 seconds. You should feel your glutes and your hamstrings working as you're doing this workout. Hang in there. We just have one more exercise to go. And if you're in week 3 through 6, you got one more round of this after you take a 1-minute break. Just keep making progress. You will really enjoy the feeling of being fit. 2, 1, and the last one is bird dog. And this is a repeat from part 1. So you should be familiar with this and hopefully gotten used to doing the alternate leg and hand movement and maintaining the balance. Keep your core tight. Make sure you're breathing. Keep your core tight. This will help you in strengthening that core and your glutes as you raise your back leg up. You're almost done at the end of the first round. Take a minute break and do one more round if you're in week 3 through 6.
That's the end of part 2, a notch above what you're used to in part 1, before we take it up a notch in part 3. I hope you enjoyed this program. Follow this for about 6 weeks, and in the 6 weeks you should be able to lose another 2 pounds a week, if not more. That's about half a kilo to 1 kilo, 1 pound to 2 pounds a week. I'm hoping you can push it more than 2 pounds a week with your nutrition. Good luck. Keep following. Do this every day, and I'll see you in part 3. Stay fit.